2I Iisha Morrison is back on the channel by popular demand. First of all, yes, very popular demand. First of all, I want to say this young lady, man, she was just with Jim Nagy and his crew at the Senior Bowl. Me and 2I developed our relationship via the draft,
Yep.
and how locked in we are on prospects. We'll text back and forth about like, yo, two, what do you see about? What do you think about this guy? What do you think about this player? And like her eye and her scouting knowledge literally is second to none. She's back. We're gonna do a roster rundown,
What?
position group rundown. But first, Iisha, how you doing?
Getting back into football, like turning my football brain off, man. I mean, from the time like the beginning of August to May, I'm just straight up football. So this
Yeah.
2 months in between, I try to take some time to myself, spend time with my family, kind of really rejuvenate myself. So everybody in the community can get like my best work. So I'm starting to snap back into it. It's starting to start
Hmm.
like football's coming. So, but I'm doing well, man. Thank you.
And you have the channel up now. Can you let's plug the channel? I want to plug it now, then I want to plug it at the end. So let's plug your YouTube channel.
Yeah. It's just my first last name, Aisha Morrison on YouTube. I will be posting more through the season. I'm gonna be posting all through training camp. So if you want to hear my individual thoughts
Yeah.
on going on, you can definitely come over and check me out probably like every other day. And then during the season, I plan on just going live sometime and just talking ball with y'all. We're just coming on and giving y'all some of my thoughts that I had through the week that I wasn't able to get in content wise.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. I'm excited about being able to be free in that way again.
Listen, I can honestly say I think that the people will be in for a treat because you do a great job. I mean, I say this, you were the star of the draft show on the mothership, but not only were you the star, you have a humbleness about you that you have crossed over to the YouTube community and you're working with the right people. And I seen your work with Sky. You did a great show with Jeff Kavanaugh, like
Yeah.
all of it. All of it. Give it we want it all. We want it all too.
I'm
But you know what? I'm so glad that you're also taking breaks too, because one thing for sure, two things for certain. In this community, we get burnt out.
real
Come
quick,
on, man.
real quick, because there's not a team. There's always some. There's always something going on. There's always something. The minute that you think you can sit your head down, it's something going on.
Get your ass.
So people like, where you been? Taking a break,
Uh huh.
existing, doing
Type
nothing.
beat. Yes,
Right.
sometimes you got to do that, and sharpening your skills, and you were able to do that
Oh yeah.
at the Senior Bowl. And I listen, the sky's the limit. Now, 2 hours, we got work to do because we are
Yeah.
here for the people, and I want to do a roster kind of a roster. Where are we strong? Where are we weak?
Tracking.
Um, I really want to check in, like you said, and so in that, I'm gonna start with a place where I think that we may be. I won't say weak, but I have questions.
Right.
The receiver room.
Okay.
So let's start off the top receiver room. I'll read out the room to you, and I just want to first of all, on a scale from 1 to 10, confidence level, how confident are you? If there's an injury, now how confident are you? You can say that for all these rooms because
Mhm.
we just don't know. We don't know with certain backups. But this room to me, I'm not gonna make bones about it. Too, I did not like the fact that we didn't address receiver earlier, but
Mm.
I also liked how we drafted. So I guess I am talking out of both sides of my neck, but I just thought that how deep this receiver class was,
Mhm.
I thought at some point maybe we would have attacked receiver. That being said, Jalen Tolbert is on the roster. Brandon Cooks is on the roster. Obviously, I don't see the Cowboys playing a game without CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
Jalen Brooks, Ryan Flournoy is the rookie. David Darden, guys like Billy Johnson and there's other names: Jalen Cropper,
Right.
Corey Crooms, Devontae Kerp. I said Devontae Turpin.
Mhm.
How does 2I feel about the receiver room as we stand today?
I mean, it's crazy because I feel a little differently than you.
Okay, let's go.
I do now, though it is unproven in a sense. I do think that, CD being your number one, Brandon Cooks being your number two, Tolbert being your number three. I think he's gonna. I know that everyone wants to make it like we don't know if he's gonna be the number. I think. I think he gonna go ahead and lace that up pretty well, or whatever the case may be. And then we did see last year that when they stopped playing games and then decided to just start giving Jalen Tolbert, Michael Gallup snaps, you could see he was reliable. He had some big third downs in games, but then also too, you watch the tape, this man is open a lot. However, Dak's not gonna come off that first read when that first read is CeeDee Lamb and he's open 95% of the time. I just think the ball wasn't finding him as often as what people maybe wanted. And I do think also too people are being a little impatient given his first year and how it went in that way. So I do think this is a big training camp for him, but I really do think Jalen Tolbert will deliver. Then you got Jalen Brooks, who we saw come in situationally in certain places last year. He's a lot more. I don't think a lot of people didn't expect to get anything from him from a receiving aspect because when he came in, I thought like this is a special teams guy because he was a gunner, and so that's kind of what people expected. You mentioned David Durden, who I from my understanding, like they were kind of high on him before the ACL in the preseason. Flournoy, I think is interesting with some of the yak ability and some of the stuff he can do in the open field. Me and you both have looked at Corey Crooms Jr.
Yes,
and
yes.
saw some of the things he can do. I think Tyron Billy Johnson, then bringing him back, he has experience in this league. I do think he was on the practice squad last year. They may do that again. And he played for a couple teams. So if you needed him, maybe. But Jalen Marino Cropper, who was one of the receivers that stood out the most to me at OTAs. Quite
Okay,
um,
okay.
the route running is just so crisp from him, and
Really?
I'm not exaggerating. I literally looked to Nick Harris and was like, who is that again? Because it's just in and out of his breaks, like releases really smooth, strong hands. He just looks so confident. So I also think he's someone to keep an eye on during camp. But you mentioned Turpin. I really want to know what their their vision for Turpin is this year because in training camp we've seen him he and Deuce Vaughn do some things receiving wise that we hadn't seen them do, not training camp, but OTAs and stuff. So it's I'm gonna say that there's some uncertainty with a lot of guys, but I do think whoever your fourth and fifth, maybe your sixth guy is, may have a little bit of upside that you are kind of like excited for in some way.
The Cropper name, I
Mm,
want to stay there. I
okay.
want to stay there. So I was gonna ask you, and you kind of already hit on it. Give me two names that you think, based on what you've seen at OTAs, we get this great inside look from the great two eye. Who, let me, by the way, her scouting reports, what she does, y'all, she does it like she's on that level. What you see from Cropper,
Man,
W- and give me another name too that you've
yeah,
seen.
yeah, yeah. Okay, no, specifically from Cropper, it's the route running, and everybody's gonna love like it's the same reason why DK Metcalf is the guy that everybody wants to be the number one. However, you look at Tyler Lockett, and
Mm-hmm.
man's just open, and he's reliable.
Mm-hmm.
His numbers are steady. It's because he's a route runner.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes guys don't have to necessarily be stars. They just don't have to be doing a whole bunch of false stepping. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
cornerback's gonna do it for you. And just watching him and how smooth he was, I was surprised. And I think we had kind of noticed him a little bit last year, in last camp. But this time around, I couldn't take my eyes off of him. And
Mm-hmm.
also too, I know you know this, when a receiver catches the ball in the air, you can hear that it just wasn't a lot of wasted movement in his game. And I think that has value in this league specifically. So he's a guy that I'm interested in seeing, how he kind of fits. And Racy McMath also too, we didn't mention
Mm-hmm.
him, but big body guy, can definitely be like a red zone threat type guy. With the loss of Michael Gallup, I am curious if they're maybe going to be looking for another bigger body receiver because Jalen Tolbert, that's not his game. Jalen Brooks is a little bigger, but not that much bigger. Quite honestly, I think if they wanted a big body guy, it would be between Flournoy, who's one of the draft picks. We know how they feel about those,
Yeah.
and Racy McMath. So
Okay.
What you got?
Okay. I'm listen. Cropper out of Fresno State was one of those guys that I said the route pacing. I liked it. It's just about his opportunity and what he does with it.
Exactly.
And when his number is called, will you catch the ball? Will you get open? But I
Hmm.
think it's very encouraging that you feel this way because I trust your eyes. Okay, moving along to the offensive line.
Oh,
Did you have anything else on the receivers before we move? Are you
uh,
good?
no, I guess the only thing I had to say is like if CD Lamb is not at camp, cool. Like, I know a lot of people. The silver lining is that is like, oh, we'll get a chance to look at these other guys, but
Hmm.
at the same time, I'm like, that's not the reality of what it's going to be like during the season. Like,
That's fair.
CD Lamb is going to be that first read all day, every day. So it's like we're not getting if he's not there, we're not going to get a realistic look to me on what the
Yeah,
offense is really going to look like, especially too because you already know they're going to be rolling coverage to him. He's somebody that you have to game plan around, and so we're not going to get that same feel to me in camp if he's not there. I do expect for him to get what he's supposed to be getting because for why wouldn't you?
I was just gonna say. I think it's more. All of this is just a formality. They're not playing a football game to me without CD Lamb on the
I
football field.
I agree.
So it's and I know there's Cowboys fans who don't want to hear it. There's Cowboys fans, oh the Joneses, and I understand, guys. I'm not here to argue that point. I'm not here to make you feel better about them. But two eyes kind of right. There's this sentiment. Well, hey, let these other guys get work, and it's like, hey, that's cool, but like there's CD and
Yeah,
there's everybody else.
exactly. It's not real. And and don't get me wrong though, like I will say I do hold the Joneses feet to the fire a little bit about this because I feel like again, like it is a formality and you're right, but at the same token, the Cowboys can't be a, oh, we're gonna draft and develop team, and then once a player actually develops into a star, then you drag your feet. And also too, prolonging this has put them in a worse position, and it's also put your team in a worse position because now you're
Yes.
holding on to your coin purse when you could have just paid the right people, and then maybe you could have went out and got a veteran DT, which I know we're gonna get to, that could actually maybe come in and contribute. So I'm just
Moving right along to this isn't battles. We're just talking about how we feel. So, on a rating of 1 to 10, how confident are you in the receiver room before we push on?
I would give it a, I think those top four are
Yeah.
going to do the job. And if you sprinkle in, if Cavante Turpin is your fifth, that's a decent receiver room. So I would give them a solid six right now,
Okay. Not
with
mad
the
at it.
contingency of if one of these guys get busy or we see a surprise or something like that, maybe we'll push to a seven or whatever the case may be. So yeah.
Can't wait for camp. All right,
Okay.
here we go. Let's go. I'm gonna talk through the O line room.
Okay.
If you don't have any, you don't have to have any groundbreaking opinions on it because I get it. It's a lot of wait and see, but I still just want your thoughts. Okay, I'm actually higher on the O line room too.
I agree.
Than most.
Same.
And
Same.
okay, cool. Okay,
Mhm.
so Tyler Guyton drafted. We know that was a big war between Cowboys fans. Uh, there was a big war. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Tyler Smith, Brock Hoffman, Zach Martin, Terrence Steele. Then we look to our second unit, which could change via camp.
Yeah.
Chuma Adoga, TJ Bass, Cooper Beebe, Austin Richards, Matt Waletzko. And then we go all the way down to Nathan Thomas, Dakota Shepley, Josh Ball, James Earl Bostic.
Mm.
So where are you right now with our O line room?
Um, to your point, I am a little bit more confident than I think a lot of other people are because I, with how long these seasons are becoming and
Yes.
the injuries and things of that nature, having adequate depth on your offensive line is becoming a luxury.
Hmm.
And for you to have a TJ Bass that you know can come in and play stout, for you to have a Hoffman that you know can come in and play stout if necessary, looking to see what Awesome Richards is, because if he can develop into a good swing tackle, you really cooking with fish grease. Like I just think that having that is something that a lot of teams can't have. And also, too, with these guys actually having the skill, then it's like we hopefully don't run into a Cardinals game that ended up costing you at the end of the season.
Talk about it.
Completely alter your game plan because you're not confident in your offensive line's ability, as opposed to, these guys can do it. You can run your offense as normal, and that would have changed a lot in that game alone. And I'm glad that Mike McCarthy admitted that, but subsequently it ended up biting you in the ass later in the season when you were contending for the NFC. So you don't to have those guys, to me, is a luxury. So for me, the interior of this offensive line is seems to be stronger. Am I right or am I wrong? Especially from a depth perspective, because we don't the tackle depth is what we're the most unsure about, right?
I'll say this. I think the interior of this line is the strongest it's ever been. If you're getting Zach Martin, even at 95%, 90%, 85%.
And he was having to compensate a lot for the center from last
Yes.
year getting,
Oh, I'll say it. I love Tyler, to be honest, but he was just light. And I think that's what's so intriguing about Cooper Beebe.
mm,
Yes, I understand that Brock Hoffman, he's probably a little bit stickier when it comes to blocking, as
mhm.
far as better. Not, I won't say better than be honest because we got to see it, but the difference between Brock Hoffman and BB got a lot of ass. Pause. Like, you're not moving BB, and that makes a difference. So when we talk about the run game, right? We're talking about a guy who, if nothing else, you're talking about a guy who isn't going to get washed back, isn't going to get just bullied by zero techs. And when I say ass, I'm talking about, this is a football term. And two, I tell you, when we talking about like scouts and recruiters and all they're literally looking at linemen, they're looking at their lower half.
They're built. Yeah, they're looking.
Yeah, they're like that's a real football thing. I don't do a whole bunch of cursing, but I'm telling y'all, like, this is what they look at. And
Hmm.
the truth is, Biotish was very light.
And
And
that
so when they lined up a zero tech to it was bad, especially if it was one who was worth anything.
it was, and it was like, and it was instantaneous, man. Like it was like as soon as the ball was snapped, he
Mm-hmm.
just getting killed at the point of contact. And
Mm-hmm.
quarterback, your quarterback can evade, the left and the right. He has that. He has that vision. There's nothing he can do about interior pressure, consistently coming at him as soon as the ball snaps. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so I think formality wise, I could even see Brock Hoffman starting the year. We'll see. That's kind of been, yeah. We've seen and we've heard some tea leaves. I talked to Brian. You'll be giving us updates of what's going on
Mm-hmm.
rep wise there, because it air quote is a new position.
Sure.
But I'm gonna tell you, if my eyes aren't broken when it comes to Cooper Beebe, I love Brock Hoffman. I just see a better player, and I'm not scared to say that because, like, Cooper is really good at football.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's my point. And I mentioned this on the draft show. If Brock Hoffman is your backup, are you blessed? Like,
I'm telling you,
you are in a good place. Like that, it's not a negative thing. And quite honestly, I'm glad that there is adequate competition at this position, because I felt like you hurt Tyler Biotish in a way without having adequate competition at that center position the last couple of years. Like, you don't want a player to relax.
that's a
You
great
want
point.
a player you don't want a player to be like, that's my spot regardless. And that's the precedent they set. So I do like that Brock Hoffman is gonna push Cooper Beebe. I do, and vice versa.
So the one we got to talk about, and we won't stay too long here, but we
Okay,
got to talk about left tackle. We got to talk about right tackle.
cracking.
How do you see Tyler Guyton playing this year from what you've seen? Um, I see a world where there's really rough spots.
Mm,
I see a world where Mike McCarthy helps him. And then I see a world where he gets it together and towards the end of the year, he really looks like something.
yeah. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I got.
It's all good. I'm actually about to get some water right now. How do you see his world looking to I?
I had to. So, I mean, one thing about Tyler Guyton, I was kind of unsure about coming in was, the consistency of the hand placement and things.
Right.
Right, we know about that. We know he has the footwork. We know he has the athleticism. We know he got a little bite to his game, all that stuff. But that's what I was thinking about. And I have to keep reminding myself this is a right side player.
Yes.
And, even talking to Tyron Smith last year and talking to some of these other players, transitioning to the other side is not an easy thing. Furthermore, left tackle, the stress of it and the importance of it is in football, to me, it's greater than the right tackle, because we know it's the blind side, and so the responsibility that he is going to have to take on is higher. Now, you coach Foots, we know that temperament and personality and maturity matters, so I
Yes.
know he doing the work. Like,
Hmm.
oh, that's the one thing. And we saw this with even like a Terrence Steele. I know he's capable, but to your point, this is like a baby deer, trying to run fresh out the womb. Like, we're going to have some growing pains, like you said.
Yeah.
And I'm encouraged by some of the things I've heard and him improving and knowing he's going to do the work. But to your point, there are going to be some growing pains because this is not his natural position. And quite honestly, in the draft world, you would say this is it was a projection pick.
Yeah. And I still think the athleticism is so real that that'll get him out of Dodge. I just think that one of the things that we'll have to see is how he handles speed to power, because he'll see a lot of that week one against Miles Garrett. But I also don't believe that Mike McCarthy will just let him be 101 ISO'd with Miles Garrett. Like, that's not gonna happen.
Which brings us to, I know we're gonna get into this tight end room. And
Hmm.
I believe with the run game and in pass pro, this tight end room being better at the point of attack blocking could definitely help out a young guy like him as well. I mean, to your point, I definitely see them rolling out Chumi Doga or whatever, like, maybe to start. And not my favorite thing in the world. I don't want that, but I do think it's a possibility. But I will say too, there also is a possibility that with the Cooper Beebe being here now, and you've seen a TJ Bass, if push comes
Hmm.
to shove, we talked about this offensive line. Push comes to shove, I hate it, and it's gonna make me throw up. But if everything looks terrible, you can put Tyler Smith out there and
Yeah.
put one of those guys at guard, and then go make some money. So
If it's a dumpster fire, yeah.
if it's a dumpster fire, if he is 100% not ready and it's becoming an issue, sure. Like, okay, we can do that. But yeah, he's on my radar because we already know how important that position is going to be to the overall success of the team.
Yeah, and I think let's transition to tight end. I'll say you gave your scale of 1 to 10, so I'll do mine. We'll alternate. So
Okay.
I'm gonna actually go. I'll be honest too, I'm maybe a little bullish because I was so high on Tyler pre-draft, like before he was a Cowboy. I'm gonna go with 7. I feel good. I feel like his length, if nothing else, is going to get him out of Dodge. Now, power, the run blocking may struggle, but
Mm,
at the end of the day, keep 4 upright. We getting out of town with a win. Just
yeah.
keep him upright, and he's so athletic. You just can't teach that athleticism.
No, no.
And
And
so the hand placement and certain things like that, and the sets, we can clean that up.
yeah,
But the athleticism, you can't teach it.
no, you're right. You're right. His footwork and his ability to
Second
move.
to none.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it is going to help him recover when
Yeah.
he's doing stuff like that. He'll put, as far as power goes, these guys, a lot of them just need some time to
Hmm.
wait and to, learn how to sit into their anchor a little bit more. But he also is really tall. And so, that with some of these taller tackles, you see them struggle a little bit more with setting in their anchor because they are so tall and it takes a lot of knee bend for them to get down there and really set. So,
I completely agree.
mm,
Okay, moving right along to let's talk about this tight end room because you made some great points about the point of attack.
mm-hmm.
And I think that not only am I happy about the competition,
Oh,
but the truth of the matter is Dallas could be self-correcting from their second round pick last year If he's unhealthy, if he's not ready to go, and one of these young guys steps up and kicks him off a bridge, not saying they would cut Schoonmaker, but like if it's blatantly obvious that one of these guys are better,
Yeah.
then guess what? It's a real conversation that needs to be had. So, Princeton Fent, Alec Holler, who I know absolutely know nothing about, and I won't even pretend like I do.
Uh,
Hayden Hendershot, Brevin Spans Ford,
mm-hmm.
okay. And then we got the big three that I say are really I want to keep an eye on: John Stevens Jr., Luke
Mm-hmm.
Schoonmaker, and obviously baby Kelsey and Jake Ferguson. How do you feel about this tight end room?
I'm actually the most excited I've been about our tight end room in a long time.
Okay.
In a long time. And it's because of the versatility in it. Because don't get me wrong, Princeton Fant will stand out to you too.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna notice him, and he has receiver qualities. But I think also too, and I know it sounds weird. I feel like if he wanted to, you could put him at fullback. He. It's
Mm.
a weird feel, and I think that if I'm not mistaken, I've heard that that was kind of a consideration at some point in time. But with him, and you mentioned Hendershot, this is a huge year for him because you mentioned the competition. Yo, Brevin Spanford ain't coming here playing no games. And when you talk about John Stevens, I had the opportunity to see him. And one thing about him, he's a former wide receiver. And so when you were looking at him last year, you're like, okay, I see some of the receiving qualities, but can he block in line? Can he hold his own? Can he do those things? And one thing I do know about him is that he has put on a lot of size,
Mm.
has transformed his body. He looks like a tight end now. He looks
Okay.
like a tight end now. And as far as his rehab and stuff is gone, it's been well. But you remember in preseason, they had plays designed just for him that
He
we have
moves
not
so well.
a little. It was like little slip screens and stuff like that, very deceptive. And I'm like, they got plays for him. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a vision here. And so for me, he's definitely a wild card in that sense. And with Luke Schoonmaker, bro, like listen, we can only advocate for him so much at this point. I'm like, he had an injury at OTAs
Yep.
that kept him out. And if he goes into another year, another training camp with an injury, it's gonna be a problem.
No, I completely agree. And Luke Schoonmaker was the one that I really don't like to poo-poo draft picks. And I try to make it make sense, right? Luke Schoonmaker was the one I was just completely flabbergasted. Like just okay. And then you start watching the tape and the inline stuff. And I think that he can do some of that. But the problem is this: they made a very harsh, rash projection as far as as far as him being able to catch the ball and separate and do those things.
Yeah, but that was never a part of his game, really.
No.
And even the some of the receiving things I did see him do were straight line things, right? He's
Yeah.
not gonna make anyone miss in the open field or whatever the case may be. It is you give him the ball on a dime on the run, he can definitely make something happen there. But I think obviously they was intrigued by the blocking and some of that stuff too. But it's like with the injuries and some of the stuff he's dealt with, you could have really used him last year. And I've said it numerous times. You couldn't go 12 personnel successfully. Cowboys ran more 11 personnel than we've seen them run in a long time with Jake Ferguson, CD Lamb, Brandon Cooks. But at the same token, it's like, dog, you need to be able to go 12. You need to be able to counter is with that. And you couldn't even pull that out of your bag last year because nobody took your two tight end seriously as a receiving threat. And that we know that's what the position is becoming. Like we know they're becoming real options, bro. Like
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you too. There was no threat of Luke Schoonmaker in the passing game last year,
it drove me nuts.
and so like him being out there, and then it was just like, okay, this feels forced. And so, like you said, eventually I will give Mike McCarthy credit. He just got out of 12. He stopped early on. It was like, yeah, we'll do it. But he stopped. He actually started losing using and I actually did film on this. He started using Hunter Lupke more in the pass game, like little dump offs, and it wasn't a lot, but I just felt like he trusts Hunter
Hmm.
more than he trusted Luke. I don't think that he trusts Luke Schoonmaker. And so like I my only issue with it is now you have a cluster at tight end, which I want to make sure that his draft status doesn't keep him where he is. Like because he was a second round pick, like do the same thing that you did with Kelvin Joseph and
Mm.
Deron Bland. Like do the same thing. If I'm the Cowboys and like you just see, hey man, love Nashawn Wright, love Kelvin Joseph, but like this kid is just better.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
No.
they do that, I'm not mad at it.
No, I mean, I definitely know that they were high on John Stevens Jr. last year in general. He got hurt. That sucked. But that Brevin span, forward span, like span forward rather, I think that he's the guy that is someone that they're interested in as well. Like the size stands out already, but when you
Mhm,
talk about the blocking and then
mhm.
the receiving stuff he can do, I mean, and competent, this competition will light a fire to somebody's.
No, I completely agree. And so that'll be something to keep in mind and watch. 2 out, where you at ranking wise, scale of 1 to 10. How do you feel?
Um, what you got? I mean, Ferg is the only like for
I
sure
know.
that group, so I would go with and it's so I guess that makes it weird that I'm excited, but I think I'm excited because I really do think that those two gentlemen we talked about have upside for sure. Um,
Yeah.
I would say I'm gonna give it a 5
Okay.
for
Five right in the middle
for now.
with the ability to change.
With the ability to change. And you mentioned Hunter Lipke doing some tight end things. I think he has before in like
Hmm.
something. I think that maybe there was a little curiosity on whether he was capable of doing some tight end things.
H back, tight end vibes, just catching the ball, good lead blocker. The guy can do it all. All right. I don't want to spend too much time on the quarterbacks
Yeah.
because that's going to dominate the offseason. And
Mhm.
so, like, especially training camp, we already know Dak is the guy. We know the competition between Lance and Cooper Rush. So we won't spend too much time there. I do want to get your thoughts on the running back, fullback room. Um, Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowdle, because we may have different thoughts. Deuce Vaughn, Royce Freeman, Snoop Connor, Malik Davis, Hunter Lipke.
Mm.
I think I'm missing one. Nathaniel Pete.
Nathaniel Pete. Um, my thoughts are at OTAs, I saw them doing more things with Deuce Vaughn out the backfield, doing some receiving things, and
Okay.
that's kind of the capacity I wanted to see him in. Anyway, I think he also makes the team because of the changes to special teams and returning, and a lot of the opportunity there. But I do think that Deuce Vaughn could be useful in short yardage like situations, specifically passing situations, because he has the route running ability and some of the speed that's so sudden that in those short situations that he can make something out of nothing. I do think that Royce Freeman is a little bit more interesting than what I think everyone else does. I'm curious.
Interesting.
He has some burst to him. He has some ability to him. So I want to see what he does. As far as Zeke and Rico, I think Rico, barring him being healthy, deserves to have that one spot.
I agree.
I also think that he is a formidable all around back. We've seen him do things in the screen game. We've seen him do things in the receiving game. We've seen him pass block his tail off and sacrifice his body. We've seen him run with power between the tackles. I think he deserves the opportunity to have that one spot. And, Ezekiel Elliott, and he can split snaps however they decide to do things. And I think Lipke's so good that if this tight end stuff is looking weird or if the running back room is too full, I could see them moving, like doing some shifty stuff and trying to put him as a tight end just to keep him on the roster, whatever the case may be.
You know, I think that you kind of like summed up how I feel. I think that barring injury, like Okay, I'll say this. Rico Dowdle last year with every opportunity he got. Now, do they trust him? We got to see. But with every opportunity he got, he made the most of it.
Oh yeah, his legs look so much fresher than a lot of other people.
Yeah, and so like with Dowdle, I think one of the things that I'll be looking for is Dowdle and pass pro. Like, can you stick your nose in there versus a blitzing linebacker? Can you make sure that Dak stays clean? But then another thing is this: I think he has a little bit more juice out the backfield catching the ball than every one of these running backs outside of Deuce Vaughn.
That's fair.
So,
And we just
like,
wanna see the screen. We just want to see a screen game. Cowboy.
yeah, no, we want to see screen. We want to see some of those things. But I think that he has that juice more than anybody. And so the one that everybody's upset about is Zeke.
Hmm.
But we gotta understand this team got in the goal line too many in the let me not say the goal line, but the 10 and in that sweet spot area too many times last year, Aisha, and could not just punch the ball in.
And that was part of a lot of that was because you're a center,
Yeah.
but
Hey,
but
hey,
but
hey.
also to the vision. Like one thing that I was somewhat disappointed in last year, from Tony Pollard's game was his vision.
Yeah,
A lot of instances. And of course, Zeke just has a really keen feel
he
for
does.
finding the red zone in these short situations. And we talked about it last year. If I'm not mistaken, the Cowboys were number one in drives to between the 10 and the 20 last year. They were getting downfield consistently. This offense was moving, it was clicking, and then they would stall. And to have
Hmm.
the lack of run threat really is what made it easier for DBs to just sit on everything when you was passing. So
Hmm.
you need somebody to be established as that threat so you can do more and open up your offense down there.
Yeah, this will be one that, unfortunately, because they don't hit that much at camp,
Mm,
it's literally gonna come down to like training camp, and I mean, excuse me, obviously, it's gonna come down to preseason, and
hmm.
even in that, like, I think they'll kind of have their minds made up depending on who can do what. So drill work, pass pro,
Hmm.
blue and white scrimmage, preseason. We got to see it, but I'm excited. And injury, like who can stay the healthiest, who's at practice every day. So
Right.
that'll be one to keep an eye on. Okay, ranking. It's my turn. I'm gonna go. This is one that I'm gonna go like 4 out of 10, and only because I just want to see. I gotta see it, bro. Like, and I do like Rico Dowdle a lot. Still gotta see it, so I can't say
Mm,
that with the receivers. And I probably seen more out of the receivers. Well, I know who CeeDee Lamb is. I
mhm.
don't know this version of Zeke back with the Cowboys, and I don't know Rico as the lead guy.
Right.
So we got to see that. All right, we got to talk about the defense, and
Yes.
we're going to
It-
transition over. We got a few more groups to get to. If you guys haven't, or if you're just catching this on the whatever, if you're fast forward or whatever, we got 2 hours on the show. We
mhm.
are talking about the roster. We're going through each position group, positional group rankings. How do we feel? 2 hours. Let's start from the top of the back half of the defense and work our way
Okay.
to the trenches. So we are going to talk safeties, and I'll read out every safety: free safety, strong safety. Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker
Hmm.
are your slotted starters. Y.A. Thomas, Marquise Bill, first off the bench. Um, we got Sheldrick Redwine, Israel McQuamu. These guys aren't stamped on the team or anything like that. Amani Johnson, Julius Wood, Tuai, and this isn't Jordan Lewis. He's our only nickel back, and
Hmm.
we'll talk about that. But Tuai, how do you feel about this safety room now with the new defensive coordinator? Me and Sky had a great show about how
Hmm.
this defense will deploy their safeties. How do you feel about our safety room?
Um, I think the safety room is going to be. And obviously, we know how important safety is to what Zim does, and his system. I think the versatility there's enough versatility there that I think we are going to see multiple rotations and different guys come in. Now we talked about it. Me and Jeff talked about it. No, or was it one of us? I talked about it yesterday, where I thought
Mhm.
that for those guys that are in the back, I think you need a rangy guy. I think Wanye is a little bit more rangy than what I would believe that obviously like a Donovan Wilson or even who's the other gentleman? Dang it, it's slipping me. I think Malik Hooker and Wanye Thomas are should be your freeze.
Super range. Oh, maybe more than Bell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Marquise Bell. Okay.
Well, even but no, I didn't want to do. I think Marquise Bell is your big nickel guy, and
Mhm.
I know that because we there's no Jaron Curse anymore, folks. I don't know if you
Done.
know, and nickel isn't your base anymore, but nickel is something that coaches pull out their bag often. So it's like I know that Marquise Bell can do that. Can do that well. I know he can
Mhm.
go out there and cover tight ends. I know he can do that. And if push comes to shove, then maybe he goes out there and does some free stuff. But we know he's mostly a strong safety.
Yeah. No, I listen. I completely agree, and I think the other thing with Bell is he's a very willing tackler, and he'll
Very
fit
much.
in the box. And
Mm,
so I think one of the things that I'll be looking to see with Zimmer is how much of Quinn's stuff does he carry over?
yeah.
Like how much cover one, cover three does he carry over? Um, because he doesn't really have to reinvent the wheel with his defense, to me.
Nah, he doesn't. I think he needs to be a little bit more multiple though.
Yes.
I do think he needs to put this defense in a position to play the matchup game and
Hmm.
for teams to just not be coming in here knowing exactly what you're going to do. I mean, you're honestly and this like you're just looking for teams to second guess themselves just a little bit, just a tad bit. And I felt like we kind of lost some of that with the Quinn system because it was straight up nickel, dime, cover one, cover three, and can you beat it?
Hmm.
And then people start beating it.
So the multiplicity thing is I've said it. I think Quinn got lazy because of how much talent there was, and so I think that Zimmer, being a true teacher at heart, the disciplinarian at heart, he won't let like he lives in that world
Right.
of like, hey, we're gonna have answers. Hey, we're gonna make them play perfect football. We're not giving up big plays. I
Yeah.
think what happened was when you start chasing sacks, when you start telling guys get upfield, get upfield, get upfield, you give up something. And
Yeah.
so
Go ahead. Sorry.
no, you're good. I mean, I just when you're playing bad offensive lines, and actually I forgot to make this point during our O line talk, where our O line breakdown was like, man, it is some bad offensive lines in the league. So I can understand like Washington and the Giants, Eagles have a really good line, but like there are some O lines that are just awful. So in that, right, two eye,
Hmm.
you playing these O lines, it's easy to just say, man, Micah, just go beat the tackle all game.
Right.
But you get to the playoffs, you're playing coaches that scheme.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I also felt like yeah, I don't think Zim is going to be hyper focused on turnovers. Are they
Mhm.
something he would want? Yes, but I believe that at some point in time also too is like we know the numbers showed us that if they didn't get turnovers, they weren't winning games.
Mhm.
That can't be the deciding factor. It can't because you're not always going to draw the ball loose. You're not always going to get interceptions. But if you play the position, if you play your position right and you're where you're supposed to be in this system with some of the deception he does and late in the whistle stuff, guys will have the opportunity to take the ball away but not be seeking it in the same way individually because like a guy like Trayvon is he's taking real risk.
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
taking the ball out the air sometimes. He won't
yeah.
have to take those type of risk as often because they're going to be doing more mirroring and more vision defense type stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, and I honestly, I think because what happens is when you start playing teams like Green Bay with all that play action and all those crossers and all those things that play with your eyes, like
Yes.
you said, then that's when you better have those foundational
Mm,
parts put in. So
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Also, when you're playing man, almost all the time, Cowboys played at a high clip. Not only are you're putting your guys in position, you're not countering that,
Hmm.
making the the offense have to make some changes, but also too your guys' legs are heavy because
Yeah,
they're running all game,
yeah,
and so
yeah,
it's I'm personally very excited about some balance, because when you saw a Shanahan team or something like that, you like, bro, they're gonna kill this cover one, cover three because it's suitable to what they do well.
yeah,
And to not want to change that, to not want to, and then you relying on your defensive line getting home, it's a tough spot to be in.
yeah. I mean, you think about it. Crossers killed this team. Deep intermediate crossers. San Fran did it. Buffalo stole the blueprint with their run game and then some of the things they did in the passing game. And then it was the same thing with Green Bay. Green Bay, you got to chase Reed, you got to chase Wicks, you got to chase all of these guys, and you know they got speed. And like you said, you're putting a corner in a tough predicament trying to do that. So where do you rank this safety room to? I actually have a higher ranking, but I want to hear yours.
Well, I wanted to mention one guy's name to keep your eye on.
Please,
If
please.
if at any point, I do think Marquise Bell can do Donovan Wilson things, but
Okay,
I do think Julius Wood
okay,
can do Donovan Wilson things better.
good. Oh, okay. That's
You talk about
that's
a willing tackler,
mhm.
a box player.
Mhm.
Telling you, Foots. I'm telling you. And he come from the sticks. Like
Yeah.
he's a tough kid. And seeing him physically at OTAs and stuff, he big. Like
Yeah.
yes, but he's a thumper, but he
Mhm.
with intention, and he also has a nose for the football, which we have not seen that much from the strong safety position. We might have seen a little bit with the free safety position, but like he has the ability to take the ball away as well. Keep your eye on him. I think he can make this team as a strong safety. I believe it. I do.
Okay. Julius Wood, I can't wait. So this is where OT so for like preseason for him,
Mm-hmm.
huge.
Huge.
Like go out there and get paid. That's how Wanya made the team.
Hmm.
Like go out there and get paid. And I'll be really excited. Okay.
Okay.
The
Okay.
cornerback room, Deron Bland, Jordan Lewis, Eric Scott, Nashawn Wright. Um, I have no idea who Josh DeBerry is. Um, and then we got obviously Josh Butler, CJ Goodwin, but I mean, special teams ace.
Mm-hmm.
Kalen Carson, Trevon Diggs. Talk to me, too.
Man, Caitlin Carson coming. I mean, at OTAs, they lined him up on the outside. I do think he can do some slot work, but I think that he can earn that opposite boundary spot if
Mm-hmm.
plan is going to indeed, man the middle of the field. I know like a lot of people are nervous about a rookie coming in and taking that spot, but listen, I think he's equipped for it. He's not easily rattled. He's sticky. I mean, sticky, and he
Mm-hmm.
attitude to him that I think would suit really well with a Trayvon. Like they're gonna be talking a lot of mess out there if he can.
This is a group that I'm like, let's go, because I'm
Yeah,
like,
I'm
I'm
excited.
I'm gonna just tell you right now, I got a 9. I'm gonna tell you why.
Oop,
Oh yeah,
oop.
Diggs and Bland, like we don't realize the luxury, and this is why throughout the whole off season I hadn't panicked. I didn't just like let's just see it, guys. Let's just Diggs and Bland to have two corners with that type of ball production.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm good, I'm good. And then right, you now mention the part Kalen Carson to me. I had a 2-3 on him.
Wow.
If he comes in and can be anything, hey, we cooking
Wow.
with grease because I actually like him on the edge and I like Bland on the inside.
Wow.
I
I
think
mean,
that's his true position.
yeah, and then you like Jordan Lewis might have looked like our best corner towards the end of the year last year. I think him, even if he's the backup
Hmm.
nickel corner, that's a blessing because we you don't see that often. I will say, guys like Nashawn Wright, like they, and I'm doing my job.
As you should.
They went at him at in practice at OTAs against Brandon
Hmm.
Cooks. And one thing about Nashawn Wright, you look at how tall he is. He's always kind of struggled with staying with some of those shifty receivers. We know how fast Brandon Cooks was, and he didn't let them play him.
Mm.
So, I think he know what time it is as well. And I think he
Hmm.
understands that this is a new regime. These are new coaches. This is my opportunity to be able to stay on this team. And if I don't perform, I'm not gonna be here. Who is it? I feel like there's another name I'm missing. Who
Eric
else?
Scott.
And Eric Scott, the people who coached him took a chance on him. They're not here.
Yeah.
And he has the ability to be, to mirror well as well, but he's gonna have to come on with it because Kalen Carson ain't he's a big dog, not a little one. So
Yeah.
that competition, and to your point, preseason is gonna be important for those two gentlemen as well. Hmm.
The way Carson tackles, the way he pops it, the way he pops his pop,
Hmm.
like it just that's football to me.
Yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, man. I'm listen, and he's from the DMV, one of my guys, man. So like I'm extremely excited. Okay, two more position groups. We'll
Okay.
talk about this D line, and then we'll talk about these linebackers, and I'll let you go to Thank you so much for joining. To the linebacker conversation. Let's preface this one before we get going.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Pray to him. I pray to him every day. We pray. Somebody pray for me, have me on their mind. Okay, here we go. We gotta have a little fun too. The linebacker conversation had gotten so nauseating,
Mm,
but I think rightfully so because towards the end of the year, especially, it wasn't good.
mm,
Buffalo game wasn't good.
mm.
Um, Playoff game wasn't good.
Yeah.
A few other games sprinkled in there, but I think that the Cowboys did some really nice things to self correct in the off season. So Eric Kendricks, self correction.
I agree.
I'll say this. I like I like Willie Harvey. Now people, oh, first where's he from? Now I want to what is it? The XFL wherever.
Hmm.
Listen, I like his build. The film wasn't bad. But then you got Buddy Johnson, you got Damian Wilson, who was here before. DeMarvin Overshown is the one who I'm just like, let's
I
go with
was
him.
trying to tell you.
Let's go with him.
You.
Maris Lewis and then Damone Clark. So two I as we prefaced it, wasn't great, but we're doing a roster rundown and where we are now. Where are you?
I'm I'm so much more confident in this linebacker
I
group.
know, right?
It's I asked the linebacker coach about this on the draft show when we got to interview them.
Gunther.
Not no, not him. He wasn't there, but I'm glad he's there.
Okay.
No, 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 no. I don't know why I can't remember his name right now.
Assistant, maybe.
It's kind of late. I'm a little sheepy. Um,
Yeah.
but no, I asked him about the versatility
Mm-hmm.
because I think you get different things from really every guy out of that top four with a Maris Lewis, who I think is going to end up being your Mike eventually. I
At
will
some point.
there's a lot of I think there's a lot of similarities in him and Kendrick's game.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas I do think he will earn his way on the field, they're probably going to be doing some similar things. So that's kind of weird. DeMarvion Overshown, y'all, I'm telling you,
Mm-hmm.
players have a aura to them that you can feel, that you just see, that you just know, like this person is special. And from the size that he's put on, like foot,
Mm-hmm.
I can't describe to you like how much bigger of a person he is. Like he
Sheesh.
and how seriously he took his rehab. And I think he's out for blood. I think he feels like he has points to prove. I really believe he's gonna be a difference maker on this team. And I understand like he is coming back from the ACL and things like that. He was already a half a tick step ahead of everybody else anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like if he comes back down to normal just a little bit, you're still gonna see a star by the end of the year to me. And Damone Clark, I think Damone Clark. Whereas like I'm happy that he's getting an actual teacher in Kendricks,
Mm-hmm.
but I know we did start to see him, Dan Quinn, do some things with him, using him a little closer to the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
Looked a little bit more comfortable because he didn't have to do a whole bunch of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think this linebacker room is going to be fun, and I think you're going to be able to do a lot more with Micah because the linebacker room is cool and disguise some things and bring some blitzes that maybe people aren't expecting. What do you think? What do you think?
No, so like for me with the linebacker room, we've said this with a couple of the rooms, but I just got to see it. But I actually feel better about this room. I think they overcorrected. Like I really do believe that bringing in the Kendricks helps a lot.
Mm,
Kendrick played on a bad defense last year. He still made a lot of plays, but like Brandon Staley didn't really know what he was doing. He didn't. They hadn't drafted well under his regime, and it was just like Kendricks was like the veteran that just kind of got caught, like caught in the crosshairs, the crossfires. It reminds me of some of these teams that were very big spenders in free agency, but like the scheme wasn't all the way locked in. And so you bring in a vet who's good, but like he's just caught in the crossfires. And so now the regime has changed over and like, okay, we're gonna get rid of this vet. But I still think that Kendricks can play. And like Kendricks being with Mike Zimmer, it's going to be huge with marrying what needs to be done
yes.
for this defense.
And the standard that they want to play to. I think your linebacker core and linebackers getting back to being linebackers is just important for the foundation of this team. And I know we're gonna get to it, but baby, you might need your linebackers to be flying around depending on what this defensive interior look like. So
Give me a ranking, 2 Let's go. Give me
with
a
the
ranking for the linebackers. How do you feel? Confidence level.
I'm gonna well, I mean, you don't know.
Somebody prayed for me.
Please, please.
Take me to the water to
I'm
be baptized.
okay,
We
okay.
cutting up too high. Come on, man.
Okay. I'm gonna give them a 6 prior
I
to
like that.
prior
I
to
like a
camp,
six. I like a
and
six. I like
then
a six.
we see some of what we think about DeMarvion Overshown and those guys, and I think things will go up a little bit more. But we got real linebackers, y'all.
We got linebackers. We don't have safeties
We
playing
got
linebackers.
linebackers, not just safeties. Nothing wrong with the safety. Shout out to you, Marquise Bell. But
Okay, without mentioning Brian Anger and Brandon Aubrey, who are both pro. I think they both made the Pro Bowl. It's kind
yeah,
of like crazy. I know Brandon Aubrey was just amazing.
yeah.
Like, and like this time last year to think how we thought about kicker. How about that, too?
We
How
had
about that?
we had no idea who was gonna be what. It
And
was
now we got a joker kicking 60 yarders. What are we doing?
just cause.
Just because he wants to. Let's talk about this defensive line as a whole, edge and interior.
Okay.
We've kind of hinted at it a few times. Demarcus Lawrence, Sam Williams, we'll have that conversation. Darrell Johnson,
Hmm.
Byron Vaughn, excuse me. And then Mossy Smith, Justin Rogers on the interior, Carl Davis. Let's be honest, we're not super excited about that. Then we'll go Oso Digizua, who's been a constant pro, really, really good.
Hmm.
Chauncey Golston, Denzel Daxon,
Hmm.
gotta see it. And then back to the defensive end room, Michael Parsons, who we talked about linebackers. There could be a world where we see him play more off ball. We just got to see it. Marshawn Nealon, my draft baby. Um, Junior Fajelko, forgotten about guy, and Tyrus Wheat. I'll give my thoughts and I'll let you go to I think that outside of interior, this D line is really good. Like I'm just gonna be honest with you. And adding Nealon to that, I'm bullishly high on Marshawn Nealon
Oh, you ain't gotta tell me. I was too.
because I don't. People will go with the. And this is where what me and you do. I'm gonna toot both of our horns. What me and you do is so important because people are looking for sacks. They're looking for a guy who can bend the edge.
Mm-hmm.
As you say, baby, I'm looking for somebody who gonna press that tackle and
Yep.
close down that C gap.
Mm-hmm.
I need. We talk about stopping a run. Everybody just thinks plug a fat guy in there and that stops the run. No, that's lazy thinking when it comes to the game of football. That's lazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's not. Your ends are in the run fit.
Right.
Your ends have. That's what makes Demarcus Lawrence so good. Is he's a great run defender.
Mm-hmm.
The problem, and it's not really a problem with Micah, but Micah's little. He's light. So when he's getting reached, he can do it. But Micah is, you want Micah getting upfield. You want Micah flying to the football. You
Right.
don't want Micah playing with hands and pressing a 300-pound lineman. Not a lot of times the team's bet, well, not the team's best lineman, but you get what I'm saying. Long arms, those tackles. You want a guy who's gonna fight that fire with fire, and that's what Nealon does so well. So I'm very bullish on Nealon. I'm very high on Nealon. I'm not really worried about the sacks. I think you can develop into him a 9 sack a season guy, but that effort that he plays with, that grit that
That
he
effort.
plays with,
It's that effort. He don't.
can't coach it.
He don't believe in giving up on plays, man. And honestly, when he is getting sacks, that's why. It's because he's just gonna keep pumping his legs, keep using those heavy hands, and the hands and some of the stuff he can do there are why he does have upside as a pass rusher. But
Hmm.
the power, the power and the speed are what's going to be the problem for people. It is
Yeah.
he's going to exhaust you. If anything, you at the end of games, you're not going to want to see him. You're not going to want
Hmm.
because he just doesn't like playing. He takes playing through the whistle seriously, and it's one of my favorite things about him as well. No, I mean, the as far as the defensive line goes, I this is a big year for Sam Williams.
Yes.
This is a huge year for Sam Williams because you do need him. He has the ability. You need him to really display some of that pass rush ability, but also I think a guy like a Nealon pushes him too, though.
Hmm.
I do,
As he should.
because one thing that Sam has shown is on film, he can get overly aggressive, getting upfield, and there's guys running past him because he's not
Hmm.
in discipline. He's not staying square. Marshawn Nealon, you start sitting next to a rookie looking at film and he's staying square and he's disengaging, he's shedding and tackling, it holds you accountable. And I'm
Hmm.
hoping he can take the next step as a run defender because I think that's another reason why he wasn't on the field as much. I
Yeah.
think if I can't depend on you to do like be true to your run fits, but then I also too, you have the pass rush ability, but I can't depend on you to be disciplined there and not to get, false starts and stuff. We know he got it. We know he can do
Hmm.
it. He's gonna have to put it together this year. But if he can, it would be huge to have him on the opposite side of Micah this year.
Yeah. I think with Sam has the twist to get upfield, but it's the mental things, and that's where I think
Yeah.
the kneeling is going. Like those high effort guys, they're just hard to keep off the field. So that's gonna be something that. Oh, there we go. Did you? That was, I don't know. That was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think that was. I think that may possibly keep him off the field. I mean, on that may get kneeling on the field
Mm,
now. The ends, I'm really not that. This is where I go back to the roster is still really good. Now, we got to have the low hanging fruit conversation because this is a real conversation, and that's the D tackle position. And that's specifically the one tech position.
right.
Right now, I have I'm at a 2 when it comes to Mozzie, and I
Okay.
think it's out. I think that everybody kind of feels the same, and I think rightfully so. This isn't one where we're being sheep here.
Mm.
Mozzie looks small.
It's not even about for me. It's not even about the size.
Okay.
It's the size matters. You're right. For me, I'm listening to every interview I hear him in,
Mhm.
and again, like we don't know. Like I don't know. We don't know people. Like I don't know him that well. Whatever the case may be, I'm only going on the body language. I'm only going
Mhm.
of your tone and what you feel like and your lack of charisma and it,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I understand some guys are just kind of monotone, kind of chill, whatever. But when you're in a position that he's in, you're looking for the guy to be either completely locked in, looking like he a little off his handle, or he's super charismatic and ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm not getting that. And I'm like I said, one thing that you just don't do in football most of the time is like you don't rely on something you ain't seen. And so
Hmm.
I haven't seen what he is right now, and especially coming off of a shoulder surgery.
Where you got to bang every rep.
And yeah, you got to bang every rep. I mean, I don't know, like Justin Rogers, Denzel Jackson, they're gonna push him competition
Hmm.
wise, which is healthy or whatever. But I think by the end of the year, we're gonna see them bring in a veteran from somewhere. You don't have
That's
a choice.
yeah. That's the one. You could talk me into all the other positions, barring injury, of like let's just play football because
Mm,
with scheme and all that
you're
we
whatever.
can make it work. You're not wrong here, and you're also like I'm just concerned with Mozzie. Like I'm concerned.
I'm concerned as a human being, period. Like I don't the football part is important to me, but I think he needs to rebuild confidence and things like that. But I will say that he did express in an interview he did with Nicole the other day that it sounds like Zim's system is more suitable to kind of what he knows and
Mhm.
likes to play.
Mhm.
And so maybe, the scheme fit being a little bit more comfortable, and then getting coaching from Zagonia, from the Commanders, and Greg Ellis, who's now the defensive line coach. Maybe he will, sometimes we know that like a change of
Yeah.
stuff can make a huge difference sometimes. So I'm trying to give him a chance. However, if it's not there, it's not there. You need to move on. Stop trying to play around with it. You need to go get a DT before this season starts, or this defense you put together is going to suffer.
Yeah. You can't you have to get you gotta break for emergency. When
Right.
the fire hydrant, get it out. Let's go. If
Mm-hmm.
it's not looking right, and I won't be like naive to that and be super cowboy guy. No, if if it's looking crazy, you got to make it do. So I will say, like you said, Jeff Z, he did say one of the things that he wanted Mozzie to focus on was how he was playing certain blocks, and we're gonna play blocks. So certain things like that was encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
We just I sound like a broken record, but we have to see it. Like I want to see Mozzie coming off the ball consistently, not being laid off the ball consistently. He was so laid off the ball last year. Then
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Mozzie recognizing what is he getting, what type of blocks is he getting. Hey Mozzie, if you're getting a double team, let's drop our anchor. We talked about how important um you know bodies are when it comes to D tackle, center, all that. We talked about that earlier. Mozzie, do you know when you're getting reached? Do you know when you're getting double teamed? Let's try to get better with that, and hopefully he can.
Yeah, it felt like last year he was just trying to get through reps.
Yeah.
It felt like he was waiting for the game to be over. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was a lack of inspiration and almost every time he was on the field. So I'm hoping that he finds that fire in him again, and whatever, his love for football, and he's able to continue on. Now, you mentioned Junior Fajoko. That's a gentleman that if he comes along could be important to what they want to do well, because in college he stopped the run well, high
Yeah.
motor effort like you were talking about. I think his size and speed could be a problem on the edge for a tackle because
Mm.
he's so big but he's fast.
Yeah.
um Chauncey Golston is a gentleman that, if depending on if you can get adequate DT play, he could possibly go back to edge and give
Yeah.
you good run defense on the edge. Teams attack you there. I mean, there's some room for improvement for some of these guys on this defensive line if they can get it together and come play. So
Yeah. I just think that again, these will be some good battles. Like you said, I like Golson. I do like Fahoko. We just got to see it.
we got
Um,
a lot of wait and see, bro. We
It's a
gonna
lot
know.
of wait. It's a lot of wait and see, but that this is the one where you rated the last one. I'll go definitely like a 3, 4. I definitely we have to wait and see. So
Mm.
hopefully guys will be able to get themselves together. But I just want to say this as we conclude. Tuai, I'm gonna be looking back on this show for a few reasons as we get to the end of camp. Were we right? Were we wrong? And we didn't really spend too much time on the battle part of things, but
Right.
I do appreciate the fact that we were able to dig deep when it came to certain positions that may need something, certain positions that may be fine that people think need something. And so I just want to tell you, thank you so much for jumping on. Um, Listen, we gave y'all an hour and a nah, I was about to say hour and a half, hour and 10 minutes of content. Um, just getting you guys primed and ready for training camp. And again, battles. I'm finishing up my battle series, but
Mm.
how do we feel as a whole? I think that's important. So, do you have anything you got to add to our that you want to add?
Yeah. All I gotta say is that I think Trey Lance wins that quarterback 2 spot.
Ooh, she leaving spicy. Hey, before you go, Tua, can you please plug your YouTube channel one more time?
Yeah. It's just my first last name. It's Aisha with 2 eyes. It's as displayed there at the bottom there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm just starting to do content again. So bear with me, be patient with me because I'm not that tech savvy, but I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate y'all support. And I'll definitely be doing a lot of work during training camp as I get updates and film and things like that. So
Y'all heard what she said. Film. My girl actually watching the game. So, hey man, listen. 2 Eye, thank you for jumping on. It's your boy Foots as always. Thank you guys for like, sharing, subscribing. We're just about what is it? We're 8 days away.
next week, man. Next week.
Next week they're gonna be on the plane. We'll be getting those videos. We'll be getting that information, and we'll be ready to talk ball. All right. As always, thank you guys for liking, sharing, and subscribing. It's your boy Foots. Her YouTube channel link will be in the description box. So you
Okay.
guys make sure you share it around. Make sure you guys subscribe to her. Let's get her to 1K, then
Mhm.
2K, then 3K, and
Yeah.
let's just keep building this thing. All right. Love you guys. Peace.